And now looking ahead, does No Labels support anyone in the general election?
So we're still working through what kind of posture we're going to have in the general election. Um, we haven't decided yet whether, in fact, we'd want to get behind one of the major party nominees. I would say I think it's unlikely, and I'll tell you here's why: is because the credibility that No Labels has had over the course of these last 14 years is not being as a partisan actor. The most important thing we've been able to do is really try to be a facilitator, to try to bring people from both sides together. And so that's why I mentioned earlier, we're really going to redouble our focus on the work we've done in the House. We were the force that created this bipartisan House Problem Solvers Caucus. We've got a group of Senate allies that we work very closely with. And I think our instinct right now is that the most important role we can play is after we get done with this tremendously divisive election, where, frankly, you're going to have elements on both sides who effectively want to start a resistance. Like whether it's Biden that wins or Trump that wins, there will be a meaningful chunk of both parties that will look at these people as the Antichrist and kind of try to send the signal that you're not even allowed to work with these people, with this president. And we just can't afford that as a country. We have too many serious problems to solve. And so No Labels is going to be doing a lot to, we think, pick up the pieces after the election. And then before the election, we're going to be doing a lot of work on the policy front to make sure that the interests of what we call this common sense majority are actually listened to. So we're going to be out there a lot advocating for issues we know that our community cares about, that a unity ticket would have run on if there had been a unity ticket.
What does picking up the pieces post-election look like? Because you noted earlier, half of the country is going to wake up the day after the election feeling disappointed, feeling like, not to be dramatic, but hey, this country might not be able to go on one way or another. So how do you pick up those pieces when there wasn't enough support for that unity ticket to go forward in the beginning?
Because even there is plenty of support for the unity ticket as a concept. Like I said, what we weren't able to find was the two candidates that we thought could actually blaze a path to victory, and we never wanted to be a spoiler, so that's why we didn't put up a ticket. But there is absolutely an appetite for this kind of approach, for this common sense bipartisan problem solving, and beyond that, there is a revulsion towards this rank partisanship and anger and hatred and divisiveness that is eating the country apart. The reality is, when this election is over, we are still going to have to fix our immigration system. We are still going to have to do something about our budget. We're still going to have to deal with inflation and energy and climate change and countless other issues. And that only gets done, in most cases, if you have some element of bipartisanship. The simple math of it. I mean, look, if you look at the projections today, the projections are the Republicans will probably take the Senate, and that the Democrats will probably take back the House. Now, lots can change, but let's assume that happens. That means it is an issue of simple math that you will either have bipartisanship or you will have total gridlock. And that's just a reality that we're all going to have to deal with after this election.
When you look at No Labels as this facilitator, as this problem-solving force, who are you getting more support from? Disenfranchised Republicans or disenfranchised Democrats?
I mean, it's really all across the spectrum. It's disenfranchised Republicans and it's disenfranchised Democrats. Of course, it's increasingly people who now identify as independents. One of the biggest changes we've seen in the electorate over the course of the last couple decades is when Ross Perot ran for president in 1992, Gallup would ask people, how do you identify as Democrat, Republican, or independent? It was about a third, a third, a third. Today, it is almost 50% of people who identify as independents, which just shows increasingly how they don't see either party meeting their needs or advancing their priorities.